right, finally, we're a couple minutes late, but welcome everyone to episode 24 of DG Weekly Live. As you can tell, Westside Bard is what we've got on the table for you all today. This is our first episode back from Thanksgiving, from Thanksgiving break, so I hope all of you had a wonderful holiday and ate lots of food, watched some football, and maybe did some Black Friday shopping. I know we had somewhere between 1 and a billion, oops, hopefully that doesn't come through, 1 and 1 million Black Friday orders. The mystery boxes, if you haven't picked one up, I think there's still some available, so check the website. I think there's still some available, but I know we've shipped out a ton. I heard as of Monday, I believe it was, we had shipped over 1,000 of those already, so get your order in for one of those quick if you want one. Super sweet deal there to get 6 random, who knows, could be something crazy in there, some sort of crazy discs. So obviously Bard, you might be able to get one in your mystery box, but the Bard is what we are going to be talking about today. The Bard is an overstable mid-range from Westside Discs. In terms of latitude and dynamic discs lineups, I would put it as most similar to probably like a Verdict or an Anchor, but we will get more into that in just a bit. And if you're looking to save yourself some money when you pick up an Anchor, if you're not lucky enough to pull one in your mystery box, then that coupon code is going to be BARD15, and that I believe is for all tournament, all VIP, English and Finnish stamps, burst plastic, not burst plastic. So pretty much any premium Bard is going to be 15% off with coupon code BARD15. And then at the end of the stream, we are going to be giving away this super sweet Origio Burst Bard. These are a little bit flatter. They start off a little bit more overstable. And then because it's the Origio plastic, they are going to beat in a little bit quicker. They're going to work into a little bit straighter and kind of knock off some of that aggressive finish. And they're going to finish with one end. The disc is finish with 2 ends because Finland. But yes, it will beat in a little bit quicker than the ones that you're going to pick up and save money on with the code BARD15. Speaking of like just pretty discs, I'm just going to leave this one right here, just so everyone can see it the whole time. Obviously, we are live over on the YouTube page, so if you have any questions, leave those in the chat for me, and I will get to those in just a second. And then if you're watching this after the fact, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time, we go live. So if you want to come in and catch the stream next week, Wednesday, 4 p.m. Central, that's so you can get your questions in and get them answered. And then at the end, maybe win that giveaway. So Jay Milsom says, is the Bard like a harp with more glide? Similar in the fact that they're both overstable, but the Bard is definitely an overstable mid-range, where the harp is a little bit more overstable and slower. It's more like an approach putter, kind of like a Suspect if that was more overstable, or a slammer. The harp is definitely going to be more similar to those, where the Bard is faster, longer, and a tick less overstable, I would say. So the Bard, I said it's kind of like a Verdict. It's like a more overstable Verdict. And then I said from latitude, it's like the Anchor. I would almost put it as a hybrid of the Verdict and the Anchor. It's kind of right in between those two. What's up? How's the weather? Matthew says. Matthew, it's better. This is our first episode back from Thanksgiving break, which was why we didn't have one last week. I was out of town visiting family, and because of the weather, unfortunately, that trip had to be cut a day short, so that I could make it back here safe and sound, and not slide off the highway like unfortunately some people did. We had quite the storm come through on Sunday. We still have plenty of that snow left, but it is slowly melting. And then I know Friday is supposed to rain a good bit, so hopefully that'll kind of kick it off. And then we're just not going to talk about the snow and stuff that's supposed to happen next week. But fingers crossed, Matthew, we can get some nice weather going here. If I bag 5 higher speed fairway drivers and 5 lower speed fairway drivers instead of 5 drivers and 5 fairway drivers, is that okay? The only distance driver I like is the Northman. Yeah, it's all about what works for you. Obviously the Bard isn't a fairway or distance driver, but yeah, if you like like you said, the Northman, if you like that thinner, kind of slower speed distance driver, like an escape or something like that, then yeah, throw what works for you. That's the beauty of disc golf, is it's all about what makes you play the best, what makes you, what gives you the most confidence, what gets you the best results. Tyler says, Bard like a less overstable Justice? Definitely, very much so. It's considerably less overstable than a Justice. It's still an overstable mid, but not Justice overstable. I do have some clips of me throwing the Bard, throwing this thing in action. So we'll go ahead and play those for you. And this first clip here is into probably like a 15-20 mile an hour tailwind, and this is the one for the giveaway. And you can see, while it is the Origio-plastic, it is going to beat in a little bit. It's flatter on top. It's that Origio-plastic. It starts more overstable, and it fought through very easily. This is now coming back with that tailwind, and you can see I kind of tipped it over just a little bit, but it rode straight. It carried that wind, and it had really decent glide. And then this is more of a shorter approach, maybe like a 200-foot shot, and just hits and stops right next to the basket. So really not a lot more you could ask for in a, I don't want to call it utility mid-range, because it's not quite that anchor, not anchor anvil. It's not quite that anvil, it's not quite that Justice level overstable, but it is a little bit more overstable than a Verdict. It's kind of one that you could beat in to cover all of your shots if you need. So yes, it is, sorry, I just read Sean's comment in the chat. He says, well, hello there, Anferny Bardenhuvel. Well done, Sean. Or I guess maybe it's Shane. I would say Sean. Well done with that. Matthew says, pretty sure since it's the Bard, Anthony is obligated to serenade us during the clips again. Gosh, if you were not watching, I think it was like the first episode or maybe the second episode of this, I didn't realize that during the clips, you could still hear me talking. And I just had a song stuck in my head or something, and I just decided to kind of sing along and say, you can't hear me, something like that. And you could definitely hear me. So ever since then, people have been asking for it. So maybe one of these days, but not today, Matthew, not today, sorry. Yeltsi says, is it longer than the Anchor? I would say so. Just because it's a hair less overstable, but not a ton. They are similar discs for sure. I do have an Anchor down here. Unfortunately, we were having some camera difficulties, and my second camera just didn't want to connect to our live software, so I don't have the second camera angle to show you. Hopefully it'll show up though from a distance. The Bard is on top, the Anchor is here in the left hand. The Anchor has a much bigger bead on the bottom, and it is a little bit deeper as well. So I think that's where it gets its overstability from, is that big bead, and it is a little bit deeper. So it's a little bit more of a slow flying mid-range, and with the combination of the slow flight and the overstable finish, it is going to be a little bit shorter than the Bard. Yes, he should sing. No, he should not. Bard is like a less overstable Justice, similar to a Justice. Yeah, definitely less overstable than a Justice by a lot. Does it have a deep rim? Yeah, deeper than an EMAC Truth, deeper than a Verdict, but not as deep as like the Anchor we were just talking about. Not quite that deep, just on the deeper side of mid-ranges. How does it compare to the Sling? I know the Bard is a lot more overstable than the Sling. Well, Sean, that's pretty much how they compare. Honestly, they're not too different, other than the fact that the Sling goes straight and kind of settles straight. The Bard goes straight and fights at the end. It hooks up a lot more so than a Verdict. I keep going back to that because they are very similar. It's the most similar comparison to it in my mind. And the Sling is more similar to like an EMAC Truth. If you have any experience with those, then that would kind of demonstrate to you. It is definitely more overstable than a Sling for sure. I'm looking for something to replace my Buzz OS. How well can the Bard fill that slot? Chris asks. Chris, I've never thrown a Buzz OS, but from what I've heard, I would assume it's going to be very similar. I heard the Buzz OS is definitely more overstable than a Buzz, obviously. but not quite like Justice level or Anvil level, and that's exactly what the Bard is for sure. So I would say if you're looking to replace that, definitely check out the Bard, or maybe you'll win this one, because we are going to be giving this away at the end of the stream. Let's see, Sling is curved and the Bard is sharper. Kenny says, yeah, the Bard has a fairly sharp edge to the rim, and then it kind of scoops down. And like I said, unfortunately, our second camera is not working at the moment, so I can't give a close-up of the rim. But it is, who was that? Was that Kenny? So that, yeah, Kenny is correct on that one. Love the Bard, can't get enough Westside, says Jay. Jay, you and me both. It was funny, I was talking with Danny yesterday while we were working on stuff, because he does a bunch of the Westside reviews. And it was like, man, Westside has some really underrated distance drivers. It's like, yeah, they really do. The Giant, great. World goes super far. The Catapult behums. The Warhorse is just a monster overstable. And I was like, yeah, they've got pretty underrated fairways too. Like the Ati is a super good wind fighter. The Longbowman is a really nice point and shoot. The Underworld is great for rollers. Hatchet is great for rollers. And I was like, yeah, man, their mid-ranges are super underrated too. And we just went through and it was like, oh yeah, their whole lineup is super underrated. Westside has some really solid discs. So Jay, I 100% agree with you, man. I cannot get enough Westside. The more stuff from Westside that I try, the more I love it. I really haven't tried anything where it was like, I just didn't like that disc. So I think they're all good. And someone else who cannot get enough Westside, someone else who was on this show with me just a matter of weeks ago, Mr. AJ Risley, loves himself the Bard, and he was nice enough to send a little video of himself giving some thoughts on the Bard for you guys. So we're going to go ahead and check in with AJ and see what he thinks about the Bard.
AJ Risley, this is the Bard. It's a mid-range from Westside Discs, and it's very overstable. This Bard particularly was in my bag the entire year. It's a really good disc. Here are a couple new Bards. Tournament Burst. These are really good, and they might go in my bag next year. In summary, the Bard is a very good disc. Back to you, Anthony.
Oh man, AJ cracks me up. I love that. I love that so much. In summary, the Bard is a really good disc, and you know what, guys? He is 100% right. The Bard is a really good disc. You can quote me on that. You can quote AJ on that. It is a super good disc. Not only can you quote me and AJ, who was it? I was reading through the chat there. Oh, where'd it go? Somebody, I have a friend who swears by the Bard, says Randall. So you can quote me on it, you can quote AJ on it, and you can quote Randall's friend on it. The Bard is a good disc for sure. Does it have a deep rim? Damon asks. Yeah, it's on the deeper side for sure, but not as deep as like the Anchor. I don't like a deeper rim mid-range, and I can throw the Bard just fine. Someone was asking if it's in my bag. Matthew was asking that. It kind of goes in and out for me. Sometimes I throw Verdicts, sometimes I throw the Bard. Right now with the Moonshine Verdict, I picked one of those up, and it's a little bit more overstable. It's got a little bit more dome, and I really like that. So right now I do not bag a Bard, but it's one of those discs that goes in and out of my bag for sure on a pretty constant rotation, honestly. All right, let's see. If you have any more questions, by the way, leave those in the chat form. We are live on YouTube, and if you're new to the stream, if you just joined, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time, we go live with another episode here of DG Weekly. And once again, I want to remind everyone we are going to be giving this guy away at the end of the stream, so stay tuned for that. And if you are not lucky enough to win this, or if you just want to try a different plastic, or if you're like Randall's friend or me or AJ and you just really like the Bard, but you also like saving money, all of the premium plastic Bards, whether it be VIP or tournament plastic or a finish stamp or anything like that, burst, not burst, all of them are going to be 15% off using the coupon code BARD15, and that's live right now until midnight Central Time next Tuesday. So the first Tuesday in December, I forget what day of the week that is exactly, or I know what day of the week it is, but the date. So midnight Central Time on Tuesday, right before our next episode is when that code will expire. Xander says, how does it compare to a Pine? More overstable for sure, a little bit slower, a little bit shorter, and definitely more overstable. Jacob asks, comparing it to a Harp, it is faster, and I don't want to say that it's more overstable because it's not. It's a similar level of overstability, but I feel like because the harp is a slower flying disc, it just kind of feels more overstable. So it is definitely longer, and I would say a touch less overstable than a harp. The Cenis is the putter version of a Bard to me. What do you think, Anthony? I would agree. I think the Cenis, if you want to compare it to a mid-range, for me and what I experienced with it, I would think it's a little bit more similar to a Verdict, where it's not quite as overstable. But yes, it's definitely in that stability category for sure, I would say. Let's see. Whoops, I just missed a bunch of chats. Right, is the rim of the Bard a bit Warship-like? It's been a minute since I've thrown a Warship, but from what I remember, the Warship just had a bigger feeling rim, where the Bard is more of a typical mid-range, maybe a little bit deeper. So I don't think so. Don't quote me on that, just because it's been a minute since I've thrown a Warship. But I do not believe that they're very similar. The Warship, I'm remembering it just feeling big. The Pink Lemonade Bard is sick, Sean. Yeah, check this thing out. I picked this one specifically. I wish I had that second camera right now up and working. But the stamp on here is like a reflective blue on that kind of, like you said, Pink Lemonade stamp. Yeah, it's a 173, 174 tournament Bard. So if you want to pick this one up, Sean, there you go. And there's a few of those in that color, but I didn't check the weights on all of them, so there might be one a little heavier if that's what you're looking for. All right. How much more overstable compared to my Lucid EMAC Truth? How about I go ahead and show you? And you can just see just how much more overstable it is, because it is a good bit more overstable Trent. You can see it's like a Verdict, but a little bit more overstable. If you've ever thrown that, I'm sure you know how that compares to your EMAC Truth. But noticeable, noticeable, we'll say. That first clip that you saw there was into probably a 15-20 mile an hour headwind, and that second clip was with that tailwind. So you could see that it fought the headwind, but even on a tailwind, it rode, it didn't dump. It was a very controllable overstable flight, or controllably overstable flight, I should say. Let's see, Chuck says, are there burst finish stamps? Ooh, I don't think so. The only finish stamps that I saw are, there's like this VIP, just kind of a standard yellow, kind of a highlighter color. There's a red tournament, and then these are the BT Origios, but again, this one also does not have a Bard. So it looks like all of the burst Bards have the English stamp, and all the finish stamps are just a plain color. But whether it's burst or not, finish or not, you can still save 15% on them, on the Bards, with coupon code BARD15. How do I enter, Eric says? Yes, Eric, we are going to be giving away this guy right here, and we're going to do a little trivia question at the end, and we'll pick a winner from there. So stay tuned, Eric, and everyone else who's looking to win themselves a free disc. Go over the numbers for those who care. Kenny asks, it is a speed 5, glide 4, turn of 0, and a fade of 3, and I think those numbers are spot on. Speed 5, perfect. Glide 4, yep. It glides well for an overstable mid, but it's not like the Sling has a 5.5, and the Bard is definitely not the same level of glidability, glidable. It doesn't have as much glide as a Sling. And then the turn 0, absolutely, it does not turn at all. I have some BT Bards like this one that are pretty beat in, that have seen their fair share of trees, unfortunately. But they definitely still don't have a bunch of turn to them. In a headwind, I can get them to tip up a little bit, but turn of 0 is perfect, and then fade 3 I think is spot on as well. It tells you that it is a faster, because it is a faster flying mid-range with no turn and a good amount of fade, and that's exactly what the Bard is. It is It glides well for an overstable mid-range, but it is very much so an overstable mid-range for sure. I'm late, dang it, says Don. No, you're not, Don. We still got some time left. How will the maiden fit in between a harp and a swan? Perfectly, I would say. I love the maiden. I love the maiden. The swan is kind of a hyzer flip to understable. The harp is an overstable, and the maiden is right in between, just straight. So yeah, it fits perfectly in between those two. Hope it's my lucky day, says Randall. Randall, I hope it's your lucky day too, man. It's somebody's lucky day, so why not yours? They're definitely more overstable than any easily available EMAC. I would say they're more overstable than any EMAC. I haven't seen any EMAC truths that are as overstable as a Bard. I know there's some runs, some of like the Lucid X ones or some of the Moonshine ones that are a little bit more overstable than a Lucid or stock Fusion or something like that. But even the straightest Bard is still more overstable than the most overstable EMAC in my experiences at least. Man, I've been wanting to try the Bard, says Don. Don, I got one here that could have your name on it. I love flexing the Bard with my flick, Kenny. Yeah, that's what Danny likes for it too. Maybe not, excuse me. Yes, sorry. I just got confused with flex and flick. That went back and forth. Danny loves it on just kind of that little touch of anhyzer and let it pan out and go super straight and then finish out. But I don't think he sidearms it all too often. But yes, it is very nice on just that touch of anhyzer flex shot. How is it to the truth compared to a verdict? It is definitely more overstable than both of those. If you take an EMAC truth and bump it up to a verdict, that same stability difference is about the same difference between a verdict and a Bard. So just kind of use that to notice the difference. I'll go ahead and show you the clips of me throwing it once again. But it's about the same difference in stability from a Bard to a verdict than it is from a verdict to a truth. Does color matter when picking out a really overstable Bard, asks Frank. No, Frank, I haven't noticed at all. I don't notice any sort of color difference. Excuse me. Plastic difference will make a difference. Plastics will make a difference, but the color or the stamp or anything like that, no. The only things that ever are going to make a difference in the flight are the plastic blend and the weight. So no colors. Fabian says, I'm late to this. What are we trying to win and how? Fabian, I'm going to be giving away this Origio Burst Bard right here that you see in those clips from just a second ago. We're going to give that away here in just a bit at the end of the stream. Ryan says, I found 2 discs and returned them to their owners today. Both were Innova. I told them to try DD because it's better. Well, thank you, Ryan, and good on you for getting those discs back to their original owners. I'm sure they were very happy to get their discs back. Does it feel like the prime truth in the hand, says Matthew? No, it's the plastic is the same, but the Bard is definitely deeper and just a little bit thinner this way. So it's not quite as wide of a rim, but it is a little bit more deep than your truths will be. Before the person asks, it doesn't make a good roller. Yeah, we haven't gotten the roller question yet. So thank you, Kenny, for taking care of that one for me. All right, I don't see any more questions, so we will get to that giveaway here in just a second. But once again, I want to remind all of the new viewers, because there are quite a few more, that the coupon code BARD15, BARD15, is going to get you 15% off on premium plastic Bards on dynamicdiscs.com. We are going to give this one away here in just a second. That coupon code does go from right now. It goes from like half an hour ago all the way until midnight Central Time next Tuesday, or this coming Tuesday, the first Tuesday of December if you're watching this after the fact. And if you are watching this after the fact, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time, we go live with another episode. So be sure to come in and tune in next week so that you can hopefully win the giveaway. You can ask your questions in the chat and just hang out, talk about some sweet discs. So if anyone has any questions, get those into the chat real quick, and then we'll answer those. We'll give this thing away. Somebody's going to get a lot of birdies with it. How to enter HK, we will, I'll go over that in just a second. Tyler says the code isn't working. Tyler, if you could send a message to the DD Facebook page, I should be able to get that taken care of you once the stream is over, but it should be working. So I apologize if it is not right now. It should be up and running. So go ahead and send a message to the DD Facebook page, and I will get you taken care of here in just a minute once the stream is wrapped up and once we are all done. HK, I'm getting to it, bud. Just making sure we got everybody taken care of. I want to make sure that code is working. Fingers crossed, says Randall. You trying to be like your friend, Randall? You trying to get on the Bard train? All right. Cool. I was scared. No, you're good. You are good. So let's see. I know. We're going to come up with a trivia question. I have the trivia question, but I need to find the answer. All right, so the question for the giveaway, and now I'm not going to be able to give it to the first person who answers it correctly, because sometimes once a bunch of answers come in or a bunch of comments come into the chat, YouTube will kind of auto-filter them, and sometimes I won't see the first person to actually get the answer right. So the question is going to be, when was the Bard PDGA approved? I want the date. So I want the month, I want the day, and I want the year. 40, no. So when was the Bard approved? I want day, I want month, I want year. When was it approved by the PDGA as a legal disc? Give it away, give it away, give it away now. Ryan says, there, somebody was asking for me to sing. I feel like that counts. For 42, no, the answer is not 42. How does the Bard compare to the Verdict? More or less high-speed stable? High-speed stability, I would say they are exactly the same. Low-speed stability, the Bard is definitely more overstable. So they are close, but the Bard is definitely the more overstable of the two. You should have said you won't leave your trust in to return discs and you'll save money. No, always got to return their discs. Good on you, Ryan. I am seeing a few answers, but so far there's been a lot of incorrect answers, unfortunately. We do have one correct answer so far. The question for the trivia, if anyone is new, the question for the giveaway, what was the day, month, and year? I want exact dates that the Bard was PDGA approved by the PDGA as a legal disc for tournament play. All right, we got lots of people coming in now. Lots of people coming in. All right, so I see, let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got a bunch of people with the correct answer now. Okay, so the way that we are going to pick the winner, we're going to take the flight numbers like we usually do. We are going to take the speed and the glide, add them together. We're going to subtract the turn, subtract the fade. So I've got 5, plus 4 is 9, minus 0, still 9, minus 3 is 6. I'm going to take the sixth person that I see with the correct answer. And the correct answer, if you did not get it right, unfortunately, the correct answer was February 6th of 2015. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So Nick AS78, Nick AS78 was the sixth person that I see in the chat with the correct answer. So Nick, go ahead and send your shipping address, your shipping information to the Dynamic Discs Facebook page, and I will get this shipped out to you once we wrap up the stream here. Thank you everyone else for watching. Unfortunately, if you are not Nick, then you did not win this thing, but you do win 15% off with coupon code BARD15 on dynamicdiscs.com. And somebody was saying that they were having some issues with that just a minute ago. I will get that squared away once we wrap this up, once I get Nick his disc shipped out. So that should be live by the time you're seeing this. So thanks guys, congratulations to Nick. We will see everyone next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time again with another disc. And I do believe that the disc that we're going to be doing next week is awfully similar to this one, but not quite. So thank you everyone, and we'll catch you next week. Let's go ahead, we'll end with those clips of me throwing and then we'll check in with AJ again, because who doesn't love AJ? So, all right, guys.
I'm AJ Risley. This is the Bard. It's a mid-range from Westside Discs, and it's very overstable. This Bard particularly was in my bag the entire year. It's a really good disc. Here are a couple new Bards. Tournament Burst. These are really, really good, and they might go in my bag next year. In summary, the Bard is a very good disc. Back to you, Anthony.